Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to another episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. And today it's going to be myself and Cheryl on. We got some people playing hooky with their families today, doing family things. So, hey, it'll be me and Cheryl, but I'm sure we're going to be able to bring you something of value today. Cheryl, don't you agree we're going to bring on some value like we always do?
Going to do our best. I mean, if anybody comes here and doesn't learn something, they're wasting a lot of time.
That's exactly right. If you're out there listening to us, if you have comments, add them in the comment bar. We'd love to hear what you got to see. So let's set the stage for today's episode. I'm sure that most of you that are listening to us have flown on an airplane before. And when you fly on that airplane, what you're doing is you're getting this view from 30,000 feet or even higher, where you're looking down, you're seeing the roads. And sometimes when you're really lucky, you may ride right across your own home, your own property. And you can also do this on Google Maps. You can get a satellite view of what it looks like from above. And this is kind of where we're going today. And this goes back to a previous client of mine some years ago. And one of the things that I do is I do on-site analysis of businesses where I go there, I spend 2 days and I look at everything that the business has done. I've had questionnaires filled out prior to getting there, financial statements, financial records. We've looked at their marketing plan. We've looked at their systems. So pretty well going into an analysis, I've done a lot of research. But you know what I found out? I really don't get the true story till I actually go in and see it face to face, till I get there and I can see the culture. You can sense it. I can look at the equipment. I can look at the warehouse. I can look at the office. I can have conversations with everybody on the team and ask them questions and get input. And see, that's where so much valued information comes from talking to the people on the team and asking them questions about the business and getting their opinions of the business. So that's what we want to talk about today is, have you ever done this view of your business from 30,000 feet? Have you stood up? Have you looked down on it like an outsider? Do you ever look at your business from the aspect if you were the customer? Think about it. Are you meeting your customer promise? Are your customers truly enthused about you? Are your employees truly enthused? Do they have the systems to operate with? All these things are what makes a business successful. Success involves a lot of small ingredients. It's kind of like baking a cake. If you're going to bake a cake, usually you have a recipe you're going to follow. And if you leave out critical ingredients, when you take the cake out, it's gone flat or it doesn't taste right. You didn't use the ingredients according to a successful recipe. So, Cheryl, what's your thoughts on taking this 30,000 foot view of a
Mhm.
business?
Well, all of us in business are too close to our own business. It's much easier to view the negativity or the positivity of a business that's not yours because you have no judgment towards it. You are just qualifying what you see, what you hear, what you have to deal with. Where in your own business, are you afraid to let this employee go because of fear of losing work? Where if you're looking from 30,000, is this employee hurting you? Is this project hurting you? And so we all need to back away for a while and actually treat our business like it belongs to someone else.
Yeah. And so often that's what we don't do. And what I also see Cheryl doing, many people do, Cheryl, is They focus on certain things in the business. They focus on certain things. I can go out and I find a business owner and his focus is into marketing. I go to another business and that business owner's thrust and training is all about sales. I go to another business and the focus is all about the technical skills. I go to another customer, another location, and the focus is on neatness, cleanliness, all these different things. But see, for success, it's a combination of all the things in the success recipe that we put together. And we also have to realize, are we a visionary or are we an implementer? What Traction, the book Traction, calls the integrator. And one of the things I've seen is many people cannot fulfill both sides of that. They have a vision, but they can't implement it into the business. Or they're an implementer and they don't have a vision. And this is what you have to do as a business. You got to have a vision of where you want to take that business to, but then someone has to implement that into the processes. So Cheryl, as I'm saying these things, and when I come back from analysis, like I just was on one this week, and that I'm going to be tied up doing this analysis report over the next week to 2 weeks, right?
There's a rule at least a week and a half.
That's correct. It's like I'm on conversations right now with the people that are analyzing the marketing, the people that are analyzing the numbers, the people that are looking at all these different aspects of the business, and to put together a strategic plan for this business to follow to get to the goals that that business owner has told me he wants to go, because it's their business. And this is what I often hear from people. Well, Jerry, I know where I want to go. I just can't construct this strategic plan to get there. I don't have that GPS. Help me. And that's where it's at. But I've got to understand what that business owner wants. And then I've got to understand the issues that are stopping that from happening. And then I got to put together a strategic plan that they can look at, broke down in the steps you got to follow. You can't start at the top of the steps. You got to start at the bottom. You got to focus in on the thing. So that's a question to you if you're listening to me. Are you focusing into the weaknesses in the business that are stopping you from getting there? Cheryl, some of the guests we've had on here, what value can you remember from some of these guests about how to get to your business dreams?
Well, basically, looking back, they all have a lot of the same values. As you say, look at your weaknesses first, because till you can get the weaknesses fixed, if you've got the strengths, at least you've got those there. But what I've heard a lot from the guests is that start with your weaknesses, qualify what they are, and then take them. And the thing about it is that we've learned from everybody we've talked to, you can't do it all at one time. You've got to start and take one bite of the elephant at the time is the only way you're going to eat it. If you try to get too much going at one time, what I'm hearing from everyone is that they get overwhelmed. And that's where we lose a lot of the strategy that we're working on, is because we're working on too much at one time. And so you, as the owner of the business, you're kind of like a conductor. You've got to listen to all the sounds and the music, and you've got to pick out the weak one and work with them to start with.
Yeah, and one of the things, and I'm going to take this back, when we were in a group and we had three people that conducted this group coaching plan we were in. It was Larry Wingett, it was Scott McCain, and it was Randy Pennington. And one of the things that they stressed was, do you really know what your customers think about you? Do you really know? Do you know how your customers think about your business? And when you look at that, let me ask you, do you really know how your customers, do you ever ask them the question, how did we do? And do we take those answers to heart? Do we look at them? Do we look at it? And the other thing is, how often do you listen to your own employees, the people that are on the team? Let me tell you something. By talking and interviewing people that work for these business owners, that chaos is eating them alive, that waste is just overrunning. You know what I found out, Cheryl? So often the employees know the answers. The employees know what's there. What's your next thoughts on this?
Hey, I agree with that. I mean, that the thing about it is every business or every person in the business has a personality. Every personality has a thought. And if you can take, that's the reason we do the SWAT meetings so much, is because we want the thoughts of everyone there. With that, it would almost be nice if you could do a SWOT before you did your analysis, because you can find out a lot of the problems just within sitting in the SWOT meeting. The good thing, at least, about doing them after you started working with the company, the employees are given the time to talk, the owner's given the time to listen, and you can pick up a lot from it just from that. I know a lot of times either Brandy's with you or we're on the Zoom watching you, and it's amazing what you can learn from a team. And I assume this is what you see every trip you go out. You see all of those problems, but in that initial meeting, a lot of times people aren't going to say things to you. So at that point, you've just got to rely on the business owner to go up and ask the people. Worst case scenario, they give you a bad response, but sometimes a bad response is the thing that you need to figure out what you're doing wrong.
You got to hear the bad along with the good. And that's part of what's going on here, because so many times what I discover is, let's discover a team, a company, the players, where the players are not bought into the vision that the company owner has. But one of the reasons for that is that the owner has never given them that vision. They've never shared the vision that they have. They're not sharing the threats to the business. And what this results in, it results into a team of players that are not bought into the owner's vision, and they're not bought into where the company is going to. And this is also one of the problems, I think, Cheryl, where we have a drastic turnover issue. Not only are we seeing a world that it's hard to find people to come to work for us, we're also in a world today that we have gigantic turnovers. In fact, the research is showing that the average career for a home service employee in this day and time in the millennial age gap is less than 2 years. Less than 2 years. We're looking at the training. How are these people being trained to go out into the field? They're representing your company. I just did a short video a couple weeks ago on my Monday morning broadcast, and it was all about the emotional turmoil of a callback, a big waste, an injury of a client, or even worse, a fatality. And when we look at these things, often I find companies that are putting people in the field that are not prepared to serve the customer to the fullest professional extent that they could. And that's where you got to have this outside look looking in sometimes. We can't back up as business owners because what's happening is it makes the baby look ugly. You birth this baby. And that's why I applaud people that will subject themselves, because that's exactly what it is, to subject themselves to somebody like myself that comes in that tells them and gives it in writing of where the business is not working well. But what's got to happen is the business owner has to understand. If the business sucks, it's because he let it suck. If the business is going down, it's because he's allowing it to go down. If he has employees that are not serving the customer well, he's allowing it to happen. Cheryl, can you think of episodes in our own personal life and experience with contractors and home service contractors that this has happened to?
More than we really want to expire. I mean, we have not done our due diligence at times. We've had bathrooms that got started, delayed, people left, we had to get someone else. We've had people that worked on the exterior of the house that are driving for hours to get here to work 2 hours to drive home. They're not thinking. The employer is not watching what's going on, leading to, I mean, this is waste. We go back to what we train all of our people about is waste. And so it's just without keeping a finger on the business and without thinking about what's going wrong, it soon just slips through your fingers. And we've seen that before also.
Yeah, it truly, truly does. You see this. And the thing is, it's not a matter of the customer is not, he's wanting one thing. This is what a customer wants, folks. And this is what you got to realize. The customer wants you, the business owner, the contractor, to do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And that's a direct quote from one of my most respected coaches and mentors, Mr. Larry Wingate. Okay? That's a direct quote. Because he also said it that you got to understand, my time is more valuable to me than my money. And as you get older in life, believe me, you start looking, how many days do we have left? You start looking for this. As bad it is, you start thinking, my days are limited. What do and so, yes, I can't buy more days. No one can. So yes, and that's what you got to look at. You got to take a hard look at your business. I'll guarantee you that your marketing says you're great at what you do. I'll bet you marketing says you're the best choice there is out there to do this work. Is this just marketing hype, or is this the true story? So Cheryl, one more thought from you if you got one, and I'm going to close out today's episode and let everybody get back to work.
My thought is take time, sit down if you have to, write out the pros and cons. That takes a whole lot less time than trying to do them on the fly, and get busy. If you can't hire somebody to help you find these answers, I suggest you start looking for them yourself.
That's right. And Barbara Lehman, I want to appreciate you. I know Barbara personally, and that means a lot when you say 100% agree, Barbara. And that's where it's at. You got to take a look at it. You got to back off. You got to look at it with that 30,000 foot view, just like you would from the airplane, just like you can do with Google Maps. And you got to have everything flowing, everything going properly. You got to remove the chaos. If you got chaos in your business, you got to take the steps to remove it. And you got to remember, it goes down to the basics like we've talked about before. Do you have your systems together? Is there mistakes? Is there callbacks? All goes down to your systems. When you got a mistake, number one cause, you don't have a system. Number two, somebody didn't follow the system. Or number three, your system is wrong. But I do know this, Cheryl. I don't know anybody that ever started a business and didn't want it to, they didn't aspire to get to a certain level. Everybody starts this business. This is the free enterprise system. We have this in our mind. We're going to do this. We're going to be successful. But what happens is the chaos comes into play. The tiger is nipping at your tail all the time, and it makes it where business is no fun any longer. So, if you want to eradicate those issues, stop and take a look. Take a look at your business as a customer. Take a look at your business as an employee. Here's a question to really think about. Would you work for you? Would you work for you? It's a really hard one to answer. And what's your story? What's the story of your business? What's the story that inspires your people to follow your vision? What's your story that inspires people to decide you're a company that I want to make a career with? And I heard people tell me that this week, Cheryl, on the analysis I was at. Several of those people told me, Jerry, we got some problems and we want to fix them. And I want to retire from this company. That was what was said. Okay.
That's what you want to hear.
And that's what you want to hear. So tell me what the problems are. Tell me, my job here is to come up with a strategic plan to make it smoother. And sometimes it's going to take some pain, because here's the thing. And this is the point of view that I developed when Cheryl and I went through speaking training. Change is painful. It really is. It's up to each of us to decide, do we want to go through the pain of change, or do we want to remain in the pain we're in? So I want to thank you for joining us on this episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. This is sponsored by and presented by the CVC Success Group. We're here to help you. You need someone to look at your business from a 30,000-foot view that's not going to worry about hurting your feelings. Give us a call. We can help you build this strategic plan to get to where you want to go. Are we going to do it for you? No, but I can guarantee you this. We'll be right beside you every step of the way. In fact, we got to get off this broadcast because Cheryl has a call with a client in just a little bit to help him get through a chaotic moment in his life, because that's what we do. We are here with our clients at any time or any place to assist them. So appreciate you joining us. If you need the assistance, reach out to us. I'm Jerry Eisenhower, CVC Success Group. This is Cheryl Eisenhower. You see our email addresses on the screen right now. So if we can help you, it's just a matter of sending an email and say, hey, we'd like to have a discussion. We're waiting to hear from you right now. Have a great afternoon and have a great weekend. And let's make some significant